your doll is in her office.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
Well, because we had the dolls left over, and so
Yeah.
when she moved in, we just were decorating the office a little bit, and so there was a Lori Lindsey doll, so we put it up on the shelf on the window that overlooks her desk, so that you can keep a watchful eye on her.
Okay, yay, perfect.
So, Andrea, Jen, you would love it. Lori knows we always forget to announce who we are and that we're a show and that we have a title because I'm clearly not trained in being a host in any shape, way, or form. But Jen, Andrea, welcome to the Soccer Podcast USA, hosted by Lori, who is like crunching and doing everything, and myself. And we literally get to talk about soccer, how it impacts the United States, what we want to do, and most importantly, what you guys are doing in our ecosystem and in our world. So, Jen, Andrea, I'll let you guys give your guys accolades. Obviously, they're from Minnesota Aurora FC. They play in the USLW League. An incredible team that have how they launched, how they've played, their run this season. Excited to bring them on here. Jen, head coach. Andrea, one of the owners and founders. And then Lori, what's your connection to this group?
I'm a shareholder and a longtime friend of Andrea.
Hey.
First time meeting Jen, but great to have you on. Thanks for joining. But yeah, just I mean, I think we all know that the soccer world is small but mighty. And Andrea, how did you and did we get connected through Jamie? Is that how it was? Watson?
Yeah, no, we met when you were doing the broadcast for Nashville, and I came down for
Yeah,
the home opener or the
that's right.
MLS opener because I felt so connected to the team, so many
Yep,
friends there, and I believe our first conversation was actually at the post party at a bar.
that's right. I do remember.
It was
Yes.
an old red
Yeah.
where
I
it's
had
a little
forgotten that, but
fuzzy.
thanks for
That
that
night
memory. Yes.
turned, yeah, that night
Yeah.
turned a little fuzzy for me.
That's all we need
Is
to
that when
talk
you
about,
became an
right?
investor?
Yeah.
Well,
Signed it
we
right on
had
that
not,
dotted line.
yeah, we had not thought of the team at that point, but we hit it off. And so later on, when we were creating kind of this plan for how to launch the team, I went back to pretty much everybody I had ever met in soccer. And Lori was like, absolutely, let me count me in.
Got it. I love it. Like, I love your guys' story. I mean, I've been following it since you guys came to inception, even before I knew I was going to be in the soccer world in this way, shape, or form. But let's start at the current now, and then let's go back to the beginning. So, like, Jen, head coach, season. Give us your take. How did the season go? I watched from afar in the Play Sports Engine app thing, so I
Yeah.
was watching.
Yeah, no, thank you for watching. It's freshly over, so still feeling emotional about it, but I think I'm sort of oscillating between just really proud of the whole group and all that we accomplished and every once in a while just a pit in my stomach about I think we were good enough to go all the way this year and we had our moments in that semifinal when it could have been us instead of them and yeah, definitely still sitting with a little bit of the what ifs but overall like nothing but just a lot of respect for how the players showed up this season, the effort they brought, the community they built in a really short period of time amongst each other, and um, I think Aurora making a run to the semifinal is where we need to be every single year, and next year the goal is to win it all. So I'm already thinking about how we do that.
Hey, and it kind of helped frame it. You guys play in the USLW league system, right? And that's they call it pre-pro, so amateur women's football.
Yeah, that's right. So the vast majority of our players are either current Division One players who play at a high level and have goals of playing professionally afterwards, or they've just graduated and they're looking for their pathway to a pro team currently. So yeah, really, we try to really embrace that pre-professional space and give our players a great experience that teaches them kind of what they deserve and what they should be looking for at the professional level, but that also highlights them and helps launch them to that next step.
Yeah, that's cool. How did you get involved, Jen, with a team specifically, but then kind of what's your coaching trajectory as well?
Yeah, yeah, it goes way back. So I was at the first ever outdoors in a parking lot in the winter in Minnesota during COVID times, like meeting, in-person meeting about like, could we start a women's team in Minnesota? What league would we play in? What would we call ourselves? That's the first time I met Andrea was at that meeting. And Andrea had like big goals, big visions. I probably left being like, she like really thinks this can be huge. Maybe she's a little, thinking beyond what's possible here, but she wasn't. And here
Crazy changes the world.
that's right. And the reason I was at that meeting is because out of college, I helped co-found a nonprofit that worked to put on college showcase tournaments for girls in the Twin Cities who don't play club soccer. They're not a part of that sort of like white upper middle class suburban club to college pipeline, but they play in their own spaces, Latino leagues, Hmong leagues, Karen leagues, and if they wanted to play college soccer, were good enough. And through that, I got connected to Matt Vravotsky, who does equal time soccer in Minnesota. He specifically covers women's soccer in Minnesota, which is really cool. And so because of my connection to Matt, I was invited to that first ever parking lot meeting. Matt's a founder. And at the time they talked about, hey, when we get to the point of needing coaches, I'll give you a call. And so I applied to be a coach at that point, and was hired as an assistant coach in the first season ever. So in 2022 and 2023, I was an assistant coach. In 2024, I stayed in the UK because I'm working on a doctorate in sport coaching out of a university in the UK. But then I was able to come back for this 2025 season as the head coach, and would not have passed that up for anything. It's really an incredible privilege to be able to coach this team.
I love that. And I mean, Andrea, if you can start at kind of the beginning, because I just watch you guys from afar. For me, it was important back in my old days to see what leagues were coming up from the refereeing standpoint of where my referees could develop and get their, get professional experience. But when you guys came out, like I can tell you in the ref worlds, like you guys came out like a professional team. We weren't used to our summer teams having, protocols and requirements and water being available. And half the time you're like, just changing the car. There's not going to be a locker room for a referee, right? But like you guys were the talk of the town internally, I could say, from the professional standards. So Andrea, how did it all come to creation? I know you and I get to talk quite a bit about this stuff, but like tell the world.
Yeah, so at the first meeting where we all were there, it's funny, we got in the car and the only person who absolutely knew what I was thinking was my husband. And we were literally pulling out of the parking lot and he's like, "You're going to make this huge, aren't you?" And I was like, "Yes." I was like, my brain was already spinning. And part of it is I had worked at lower level soccer at Minnesota United when they were the NASL, and I had seen what the players were having to do washing, and that was professional, right? Washing their own uniforms, hauling everything in their cars, sleeping in dorms, just all of it. And then I had also, this one of the key moments for me, I listened to a podcast with Crystal Dunn, who I've always admired as a player. And she talked about changing in porta potties and about how she, here's a woman who's been incredibly successful in her career, changing in a porta potty. And I think it was in Washington maybe, and there was no running water in the locker room. And I have never played at a high level. I'm not an athlete, but as a soccer mom, even when my kids were playing, like I didn't even like changing in the McDonald's bathroom after my work day to go sit at the soccer field to watch them play. So I can't imagine having to do that and then go perform at the highest level. And so that was always in the back of my mind, is we can actually treat everyone professionally, even if we are not professional. And so from the beginning, that was our goal, was just because we're not professional doesn't mean we don't have to act professional. Now, what's happened is people actually don't realize we're not professional. They don't realize, for the most part, that we don't pay our players. It allows us to operate on a very small budget. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that we've had to come up against is explaining to people that we can't make that leap to pro without a lot more money, because we do operate on a very small budget right now because we don't pay our players. We give them everything we possibly could. We have an amazing medical partnership with Twin Cities Orthopedic. They treat us like they treat the Vikings. The Vikings have been incredible partners with the stadium that we play in. And so there's a lot of things we've been able to do right. And by acting pro, the market responded and was like, "Okay, we'll treat you guys like pro. We will put in the investment. We'll put in the sponsorship money. We will pay for our tickets." And it kind of became this self-fulfilling prophecy And now the only thing between us and pro is a whole lot of money.
So what's next? What's next then? Because I feel like Andrea, you said it perfectly. Like when your husband like looks over at you and says you're going to make this huge. So I feel like that's the thing that's super interesting about you is that like happy with where you are and just noticing the little details of what you're offering to your players and to the how you're building things, but at the same time knowing that you're not satisfied. So what does that look like as an organization for Aurora as a whole? And like what are you hoping? Is the next step.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, we have absolutely proven that Minnesota wants to support women's soccer. We had over 5,000 people at our semifinal on Saturday night, and we gave them 5 days
Cool.
notice to buy tickets. We
Yeah.
clinched the Central Conference Sunday night at 9 o'clock in Pittsburgh, put tickets on sale immediately from the stadium. Like I was literally sitting there putting tickets on sale between my tears of joy. And we gave fans 5 days notice. Every single team in Minnesota was playing at home Saturday night, like everybody. And we still put over 5,000 people in the building. And so we've proven that Minnesota is a women's soccer market. And so what's next for us is giving our fans more. And the only way to give them more is to move leagues where we have more games, a longer season. The really great thing about soccer right now is women's soccer is growing so fast that there are numbers of options for us for leagues, and we're looking at all of them. But again, we have to find the funding. And what is beautiful about this team is that we are a community owned team. There's over 5,000 people that own pieces of this team. The hard thing is that we're all normal people and we're not hanging out in the rooms with the billionaires when they're talking about, hey, I'd like to buy a sports team. Like we're not there. So we try to make as much noise as we possibly can so that when someone is in that room, they go, hey, do you know about this team in Minnesota? Like, I think that would be a great investment. But other than that, we just keep trying to build relationships with all the leagues. Christina has been a huge help with the Super League and her insights with the NWSL, with NWSL 2 possibly coming. And we're just going to make the best possible decision we can financially and for our fans.
I love that. I love that. Like we talk here, Lori and have in the past, and some of our past guests is about creating that local club, that local community, that point. And when people are trying to figure out soccer here in the United States, our biggest stance is like it happens in the grassroots level, meaning like you don't have to be this huge metro area, like you don't have to have these types of requirements from density side of it. Like if football is wanted, football is wanted. And it's great to see that that's and it has been something. At the end of the day, it's funny to your guys' point. You guys come out as professionalisms, like your professionalisms are high standards, and then it attracts that energy. So I had to do it, Andrea. You had to do it. How did you do it where you flipped 5,000 fans in 5 days? Because I had to do that same thing for a final.
Well, we first of all had to talk Jen into allowing media at practice. Which,
Oh, yeah, I had to do that too.
yeah.
Well, and that got tricky because the day that we were meant to have media at practice, there were thunderstorms all morning. So it's never easy.
Yeah. But the week before we were heading into the playoffs, we went out because we had a lot of media at practice. And our person that was helping us with PR this year, Katie Simmons, I watched her go and turn the video cameras away from the field because Jen didn't want any media to accidentally see our PKs. So you start with your head coach and make sure that they are okay with media. And then you really work the phones, you work every relationship you can in town, and you try to get people talking about the team. It's an awareness issue, right? It's you have your base of fans that are watching every single thing you're doing. But then to fill a building, you also have to get a whole new group of people. So I met people Saturday night that have never been to an Aurora game, and something they heard during the week, something they saw during the week made them feel like this is the night I should try it. And then, as you know, Christina, the key is once you get them in the building, make sure they have a good time. So then next year, the Aurora schedule is set, it's on their calendars, and you keep building from there. But my marketing philosophy has always been to assume that no one is coming to your party, and don't stop until you've invited every single possible person you can. And I've applied that in other work, and we've applied it to Aurora. The players were great. You know, we asked them to share on social. They want a full building. It gives them energy. And so we all just worked very cohesively to make sure everyone knew we had a semifinal Saturday night. And frankly, to be unapologetic when media is pushing back and they're like, well, everybody else is playing. And it's like, no one else is playing in a semifinal. No one else. So, all due respect to Minnesota United, it's a July game. They had 3 games last week. We are in a semifinal. And so, you have to kind of hold people's feet to the fire a little bit too and say, this game is really important and it's a big deal. The league is gigantic and getting there is huge and you need to cover it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. That was going to be my next question for Jen, is just like, because the league is huge, then how are you attracting players? How do they actually join your team? And then what's kind of like the cadence during the week? Since you aren't professionally, are you training every single day? Are players committed to that since it's typically their summer break, right? Or
Yeah.
between seasons? So what's that
Yeah.
look like?
No, good questions. And I think they're a little bit connected. I would say my philosophy has always been that your best recruiting tool is just treating your players well. So I think we rely a lot on our players to say, like, hey, go back to your college teams, tell other people you had a good experience. Who else do you know that might want to be at Aurora? And then beyond that, Nicole Lukic was the head coach in 2022 and 2023. She's now the head scout for the US Youth Women's National Team. So she like really has a keen eye for recruiting and scouting. And I learned a lot from her, and she set up some just good systems that we use, you know, the PowerPoint presentations we give, the procedures we go through with college coaches, those sorts of things. So just leaning heavily on, you know, the great women leaders we've had here in the past. The reason I think those things are connected is the commitment the players make for the summer is incredibly high. We train or play a match 6 out of 7 days a week. They are essentially committing to the level of soccer they do in a college season, but in that summer window, that's often meant to be a break. And so we separate ourselves in the W League by with that commitment. I think we're very unique in that way. And so when we advertise that that's what we do, it is a bit of a recruiting tool because we attract the players who want that
Mm-hmm.
level of commitment, who want that experience. And a lot of what we emphasize in the recruiting process is that it's about players who really love soccer, like embracing the joy of playing every day. And if you don't super love the game, you don't commit to a high commitment thing in the summer window. And so I think in that way, we really luck out with, you know, we train 8 to 9:30 in the morning. We luck out with players who want to get up at 6:30, 7 a.m., come train really hard, and then they go grab breakfast or lunch together and relax in the afternoons. But yeah, it is a high level, high commitment team. It is a very all-consuming summer schedule, and that is part of why every chance I get, I just give so much credit to the players, because for them to choose this, it's a really special breed of athlete who loves the game and loves to work hard.
Yeah, I'm just going to
And
jump
the
in real
thing
quick,
about,
real quick.
oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
sorry. I would love to hear what you're about to say, Andrea. But I was just curious, are most players coming from Minnesota, or are they coming from all over, given just like the talent?
Yeah, no, we recruit from all over. So
I thought,
this year, I would say just under half had some sort of connection to Minnesota, either grew up here or went to, you know, played college soccer here.
yeah,
But the majority of the team is from all over. But you know, we make connections with certain college programs. So for example, we've always had a good chunk of players from Utah State, and so those are not people from Minnesota, but there's a legacy of players there. Kelsey Kafusi, who just, you know, got drafted to the NWSL after she played for us. Addie Wykers, who's now playing in Canada, and they pass on to their new college teammates what the Aurora experience is like. So though they're not from Minnesota, they really have experience, and they sort of embrace this Aurora culture. So yeah, we, even when people don't have a tie to Minnesota, we try to build a tie and a love for Minnesota.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, and part of what I was going to say, Lori, is right now we currently have 19 players that have gone on to professional careers after Aurora. I am sure from this year's roster there will be more added to the list, but 19 players out of an amateur program going pro around the world that's a very high success
Yeah,
rate.
amazing.
And so we take that pathway to pro very seriously. And as we continue to get smarter, as we continue to build relationships with people like Christina and other pro teams, that's going to be easier and easier for us to pick up the phone. Or even like Christina and I were having a conversation last week about when her recruiting season is. The more we learn about those things, the more helpful we can be to our amateur athletes. And I think that then increases their interest in coming to us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I
And we
think
did,
it's
for the first time this year, we did throughout the season some Aurora pro tips. So we had a critical mass of alum who've played professionally now, and we brought some of them back in to share about their experiences, give tips and feedback. And then we also partnered with the Players Network, and they did, organization that shares information player to player about playing professionally, and they did a webinar with us. So we're doing whatever we can to really go above and beyond and help our players find a professional avenue.
I think you guys hit on the head. Like that's been one of the kind of the biggest thing as we talk about the growth of soccer here in the United States. It's that path to pro concept. I get people from around the world who move here, right? A bunch of people just moved here from FIFA, and they're like, how do I get my kids started in soccer? How do they get identified? There's 50 million different leagues on the youth side. Like, what is the path? It's not linear like it is in the rest of the world. So I appreciate and thank you guys for all that you do, because you create that opportunity in that space for those players to be able to see themselves and create their opportunity. I think the biggest thing, and that's kind of what Andrea and I are talking about, is this book value, right? This player value, which is just minutes on the ball in a competition sequence. And if you don't get those minutes on the ball, like you can't be seen. And so I think we're in a really, I mean, Lori can attest to it, right? Having been on the pitch, it's just like we're in such an incredible moment in space in women's football here in the United States of growing. But at the same time, with that growth also comes with less limited spots because there's more people vying for it because it is professional sports. So how do you create your own luck? And I think by going to Minnesota, they do that. Speaking of creating your own luck, though, during that summer months, just out of full curiosity, like whether it's in your guys' ecosystem or in the pre-pro systems, right? There's USL ones, there's other league ones in the summer. Like, how do the players support themselves if they can't get paid or compensation?
Yeah, I mean, we do everything we can to make this as financially accessible as possible. To Andrew's previous point, we do as much as we can to support players. They get free housing from us. We pay for a lot of their meals. Um, you know, busing to away games, flying to away games, that's all on Aurora. But certainly there is, a cost to buying your own groceries. When we're home, we don't cook them dinner every night. They make their own dinner, and paying their own gas for their cars to get to practice and things. And some of them have jobs in the afternoons, evenings, coach soccer camps, coach a club team locally. Some of them have online jobs. And then some do internships that they hope will sort of lead to a career in the future. But I think beyond that, they think of this as an investment in their future professional career, and so I know a lot of them, lean on family and just do whatever they can to make it work. I think part of the niche of our league is this is a 2.5 month season, and so not being paid for that amount of time isn't the end of the world if they have little odd jobs here and there as well. And then the new thing that we were able to add this season that I think is really important and powerful is supporting the players with NIL opportunities. So they get sponsorships for selling gear, for drinking oat milk. They they have found ways to get paid, and Aurora has supported that for sure.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
yeah.
set up a collective.
I was just saying, if you can explain that, that was fascinating. I saw that on
Yeah.
your guys' website. So,
So
as the world of NIL is being explored.
Yeah, one of our 4-year players, her mom is sort of a financial, not sort of, is a financial genius. And she decided to start a collective. So it's called the Northern Lights Collective. It is specifically for female soccer players. And she wants to extend it to the college space as well so that it continues to grow. But we created an official affiliation with them, giving them the rights to use our brand in their advertising. And under the current NCAA rules, even though that's wildly changing, we cannot directly pay a player out of a sponsorship agreement because that would be considered a violation. And the one thing that Matt Pravatsky was terrified I was going to do when we started this team was violate somebody's eligibility and then possibly lose their scholarship, because I can be a little bit of the wild, wild west. But I have tried to be I couldn't sleep at night if we lost somebody their spot on a college soccer team because of something that we did. So this collective, Northern Lights Collective, has allowed us to route deals over to the collective, which they do directly with the players. And like one of the things they introduced this year was playing cards for the players. And so they created a stack of beautiful playing cards that our fans just ate up. We gave them space on the concourse to sell it. They sold out the first night that they were at the game. They did a rerun for the semifinal Saturday night, and I could not believe how many they sold. So next season, when we have more time, I know there's even more opportunities for the players. And right now the money is small, but I think the players really appreciate the effort and that we're trying to think of ways for them to earn some money over the course of the summer, and hopefully also educate them so that when they go back to school, they can advocate for themselves in their own collectives and also say, no, like I'm not doing that for free. I am worth something if you want me to show up or promote or do these things. And again, it goes part of our whole education to these young women, if whether it's agents or collectives or how to take care of their bodies, how to take care of their minds. We're trying to provide so many of those things so that our goal is when they get done with Aurora, they're smarter, they're strong, they understand how to conquer whatever is next. And so the collective is a really been a great addition this season.
I think it's fascinating because you guys talk about this with the changing landscape of college soccer. It's changing so rapidly of what is, and kind of Jen, to your point, right? FIFA allows someone to retain their amateurism status so long as you pay for their expenses and nothing above that. And that's the balance of these summer leagues. But this collective thing is actually a really darn good idea. I'm going to say darn, probably want to say damn, really good damn idea. Because at the end of the day, like everyone's getting NIL money, right, in college and not violating their NCAA eligibility. So does that then give us the opportunity to have these players on pre-pro? Which is funny. Now there's an argument that some kids are staying in college because they make more money than if they go pro, which is a kind of completely whole new fascinating. It'll be interesting to see in December when NCAA comes out with its NIL regulations. But I don't know. I think that is that path, right? As we continue to build the game and what the professional thing looks like, we can reflect back on what's previously been done in other professional leagues, either men or women, and then kind of move forward in building the state of women's soccer here in the United States. If you were given like a magical wand to create something in the women's space, what would it be that you think would move the needle when it comes to either from a coaching perspective or when it comes from administration perspective, Andrea? Something that you think would just change the world here for women's soccer?
For me, I think if we could get more people to take it seriously, like we are, that would make a big difference. We went to Pittsburgh for the playoffs, and that was one of the first times we've had an away trip that I felt like we were in a stadium with the Riverhounds and the Riveters that was treating it seriously. Like they split expenses with us on a TV broadcast. So we were able to have a full TV broadcast back to our fans in Minnesota. They had a great game day photographer. There's still bumps there about how they ran timing for locker rooms and things like that. But it was in our 4 years in the league, a big step up from a lot of things we've seen. So my big thing is if you're going to commit to doing this, just don't have it be this afterthought on your men's team. Like treat it seriously. The fans will show up. The players will show up. The soccer is wonderful. Even though we lost on Saturday night, watching our team, there's so much joy and our fans are so into it. One of our most popular players, Mariah Wynn, she got taken down right outside the box. And I thought the fans were going to riot. Like I actually thought they were going to storm the field. And as a sports fan, which is why I'm in the business in the first place, it brings me so much joy to see that connection. So if I could wave a magic wand, I would ask everybody who's starting a women's soccer team, treat it seriously and treat everybody with the respect they deserve because they're working really hard for you and for free. We cover their expenses, but they're still playing for free and they deserve to be respected for that and supported. And I know Jen, I'm not going to say this because Jen can't say it out loud, but Christina, the refs could definitely use some work. So
you know what? Everyone in the ecosystem can use work. I can tell you that.
Fair play too,
I can't say
Christina.
anything.
Yeah. That's funny. That's a funny
Go ahead,
little
Jen. What's your answer?
The foul on Mariah wasn't called, and definitely people were upset, including
But
myself.
VAR is not needed yet,
Yeah.
including for the Super League. I'm on record for that. Not yet. Too much money there.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and I think sort of daring imagination is always important to improving our spaces that we care about. Where my brain goes to as a coach is just thinking about like the whole ecosystem of like players and player development, and I just think the US is really unique in our pay to play model, and I think it's problematic. um Having lived in the UK and New Zealand, like playing youth soccer is just significantly more financially accessible there. And I think you would do women's soccer a big favor if there were, yeah, if there was just a more financially inclusive system for young people to get into the game. Um, and then I think beyond that, there's little things you can pick apart, like college soccer being kind of the top of the pyramid here is interesting, but I think the short window of a college soccer season, like a 2-month window, doesn't always leave room for development. And then a lot of times players get out of college soccer, they're 21, 22 years old, and I think sometimes the ethos in the US is that like at that point you're kind of old, like unless you get drafted to an NWSL team, like all your only other option is sort of like a Sunday co-ed league or something in your local community. And I think what's happened in the past, 1 to 2 years is the Super League coming into play, the W League getting better, and just more options um, available for players. And I think that's really good and really important. And sort of maybe to sum that up, I think there would be a lot of benefit if we could have some sort of pyramid and promotion relegation system, because there's so many great players who graduate college and they're not ready for tier 1 in the US, but they're really good, and they're so young. Like I said, they're 21, 22, and for them to feel like if I'm not ready to like fully make it now, I just need to like hang up my boots, is I think a problem in the US. And if players could play in some sort of tier 3, tier 2 in a way that was sustainable for their life, and then really hit their stride by 24, 25, 26 years old, like that is not an old footballer. That is just someone who had time to grow into their career. And I think those opportunities are coming more and more in the US, but I still think it's prohibitively difficult. So yeah, I would make it more accessible on both ends. The youth system more financially accessible, and then once you are done with college soccer, there just needs to be more ways to continue playing and developing.
Oh, I think you hit it in the head. One, if you're going to step into this space, be ready to play in this place. And then Jen, just the access to the game from the beginning. And you're right. Lori can probably confirm with her new GM hat, 21 is not old.
Right.
27, 28 is not old. If you can ball, you can ball. Lori, any final thoughts?
No, this has been awesome though. And I think actually what everybody was just saying too, like the more the resources, the more places to play, then age is really irrelevant. It's just about providing the opportunities and giving, I mean, obviously our player pool is huge. So it's about giving access to all of those in a variety of ways and just options to be able to play and live out those dreams. So thank you so much for all you do. I'm thrilled to be a part of it all. And it was fun to get like a little bit of a deeper understanding too of just like the complexities, but also just as it grows and what it looks like going forward too.
Yeah, and I do want to say thank you. Lori has been incredibly accessible and supportive over the years. So it has really taken a village. There's and Christina, I know we met last summer, but there are so many people we can tap into when we need help, and that makes a massive difference, right? So the soccer community is very special, and I feel like everyone is working to lift us up. And so I do encourage people, like, make those phone calls, make those connections, ask for the help, because we all want the same thing, which is for women's soccer to dominate, and people will help you. But I want to thank both of you because you've been tremendous supporters for this team, and it means a lot.
No problem. Thank you all. Oh, go ahead, Jen.
Well, I'll just echo that, to use a very like Minnesotan phrase: "We all do better when we all do better." So, if
Do butter when we do better. I love it. I'm gonna have to Google that.
if we cross paths and can support each other in our various endeavors, let's do it. And thanks for having us today.
Of course.
Yeah,
Thanks for
amazing.
jumping on. Love to be able to tell your story. Thank you all. And everyone, catch the soccer podcast, catch Minnesota Aurora doing their thing. Obviously, semifinal, but still not to undervalue the accomplishment and the feat that they created. I know, Jen, and that's what makes you a competitor. Let's go. We're already looking at 25, 26. Or I see you say 20, but 2026. Let's crush it. Get your investors happy. And your management. No, I'm kidding. But thanks for jumping on all. Appreciate it. And we'll talk soon. Catch us on YouTube and all the podcasts. Don't forget to follow us on the Soccer Podcast USA as we continue to bring you big names and bold opinions. That's it for our show. See you later.